All right, welcome back to round number 3 of 4 here in Portland, Oregon. We're hanging out at Guardian Games in Inner Southeast. We are Portland Paper, bringing you modern Magic the Gathering content every Monday night at 7 p.m. Pacific time. I'm Travis Cooper, hanging out with,
Curran Delahanty.
and we've got a match for you. It looks like we've got an oldie but a goodie. I'm gonna say Jeremy James. Have not seen Jeremy out here in quite a while, but has been a regular for years. And grinding Grixis pile for I don't know 5 years, 6 years, a while. Versus Michael Handcuff on Is it Murktide?
It must be Murktide.
All right, and we're starting off with a turn one Ragavand.
Yeah, classic opener. I feel we're gonna see Mishra's Bauble and a Blood Crypt from Jeremy. Probably a removal spell. Yep, Lightning Bolt. Taking care of the Ragavan nice and easily.
Yeah, I feel like when you don't know what matchup you're playing against, if you're on Murktide and you're on the play, playing the Ragavan turn one is the way to go. If you know you're playing against a removal heavy deck, maybe you wait till you can hold up Counterspell or Spell Pierce and use your mana a little bit differently. But it looks like if we have a land, we could dash in a Ragavan, which seems worth it. But if we're stuck on one land, this seems potentially problematic.
Interesting. I feel like Jeremy's gonna get pretty rewarded here for that. Alright, it's a Ragavan standoff. Monkeys pointing guns at each other.
They look different, though. All right, I wonder what we've got over here. Oh, well, that's sort of where you want to be. If there's a heat, so, it can clear the way. Did not look like we drew the land, though. So I think we got, like, bolts, heats.
Is that a draw spell far right? Maybe I consider. Anyway, here's Unholy Heat.
And did not have the Spell Pierce. I was thinking maybe that's what was happening there.
Alright, looks like this
Okay.
Ragavan's gonna connect.
Oh, God.
Oh, wow. Wow.
That's a pretty good hit.
That's powerful. You gotta just take the opportunity.
I mean, especially when you're digging for land, and you're stuck on one, just being able to play a Darcy off the treasure is probably one of the best hits.
Ah.
I'm just gonna give a shout out to Eli, who was a adult person now, but was a high school person when they started playing here, and then played a ton of Grixis and crushed people, and is now in college, hanging out in the Bay. So it's cool to see some familiar faces in chat and some familiar faces that we haven't seen in a while on coverage. So it looks like we bolted the Darcy over the Ragavan, which is an interesting choice.
Yeah, I think that's probably fine though, because Snapcaster trades. Taking away the scry trigger is
Okay.
probably.
I thought that
Oh.
Michael had 2 bolts in hand, but they're the alt art Japanese stuff, and I think they might be 2 spell pierces instead of bolts.
Oh.
But I thought Jeremy might get punished for that, but that luckily did not. So yeah, judgment call that there's not a. It's hard to say which one of those is correct. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Wow, Dragon's Rage channelers all around. Okay, Colgan's command gonna deal with the opposing one and get back the other one. Was that the? Yeah, that looks like the deal.
Oh, it looks like I was remembering the wrong person in chat, but also cool to see you hanging out here, Eli. And sad to not have it's always sad to lose a local Magic player that moves away, but it's
Yeah.
cool when they still engage, and then it's like fun to like visit a place where you used to play a lot and like grind at and hadn't been in a while, and then I like
Coming
yeah.
back. Yeah.
So
It is pretty nice to see everybody again and
yeah.
play games again.
And if you ever are, visiting town, feel free, and we're in on a Monday night and you're here to play, come talk to us in the booth and we'll try to get you up on coverage because it's nice to see familiar faces and new faces.
Absolutely.
All right, that is a lot of Darcy's.
Yeah.
I was like, we're chatting a little bit, and then all of a sudden I was like, what?
Jerry has made it very clear that Dragon's Rage Channeler is the best creature in the matchup.
Yeah, got one back with a K command, had two more. They were like,
Got rid of the one that Michael stole. Like, very clear that he values the channelers.
okay, those are two counter spells, so one of them is countered.
Okay.
Looks like Michael was able to pick up that second land. That's a Darcy in hand 2.
Wow. It just keeps happening.
Michael's got some shiny cards over there.
Oh, yeah. Got some pretty stuff.
All right, it's a Darcy off.
And there's a Ragavan off the top for Jeremy. All right, consider. Pretty good way to fuel a Darcy.
We've got it before blocks. We've got to consider, and we have the surveil trigger on the stack that's now resolving.
Finds a charm.
I feel like you're bidding anything that's like not a land, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, sorcery's good to bin, I think. That's creature, instant, sorcery, land. Darcy is delirious. And gets to
Ouch.
just send one to the... oh, yeah, trade. Yep.
All right.
Cool. Has a post-combat Raven. And passing with a counterspell up.
Interesting. So who? Jeremy has a counterspell. You can see that.
Yeah, Jeremy has a counterspell.
Okay.
So if Michael goes for something big here...
All right.
Yeah, the Ice Age counterspell.
Yeah.
It's pretty recognizable.
I mean, I love how there's so many arts of that to choose from these days. Do you have a favorite, Curran?
Favorite counterspell? Oh my gosh. I mean, actually, the Ice Age ones were the ones that I used to play when I started playing Legacy, so I think those are my favorites still. I don't think one's come out since then that swayed me. I'm just a big fan of original printings of cards, though, to be fair. I have a bit of a bias.
Okay, we're trying to steal. We're going to get a counter. So don't forget your surveil trigger. We did not. We're leaving it on top. A little out of order there, but
Yeah,
I think we might have a Snapcaster left over in Jeremy's hand. I'm going to see how accurate I am at like identifying Snapcaster. Fairly accurate.
Imagine that. Travis being able to identify a Snapcaster from afar. Yeah, so, and then the Ragavan, unfortunately, just hit a counterspell off Michael's deck, so nothing for Jeremy to cast for free. Or cast.
We're in Snapcaster counterspell territory, which is a decent place to be. We have snap counter, snap removal.
Yeah, very curious to see what the next play from Michael will be here. They're shocking down to 4. Not afraid. Not afraid.
Well, knows what they have to do and has the strength to do it. Says probably my guess is holding on to a counter spell. This gets really interesting if Jeremy Snapcaster counters, because then the shields are down for like any removal or any damage based spell for a win there.
It looks like Jeremy's just gonna let it go.
I mean, is there a bolt in Jeremy's yard?
No, there's not. The only bolt that was played already got flashback. There's another Snapcaster. What off the Delirious trigger. Bobble looking at the top of the deck. Little just kinda out of order sequencing again, I think, but everything happened properly.
All right, we're coming in. That's a tough. I mean,
Yeah, that's a tough choice. I mean,
I like this is exceedingly high variance play here, but I think you do have to block the Ragavan.
yeah, the difference between 2 and 1 is pretty minuscule.
It just shutting off fetch lands is probably it, but every other damage spell in Jeremy's deck are creatures. Yeah, it's gonna kill you.
Well, there's Kolgan's command though, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but the counter spell is still up. Interesting.
Huh.
Wait. Why did Jeremy just draw a card?
Bobble. Bobble was
Bobble,
played.
right, yeah, upkeep. My bad. Yep, going for the Snap Kolgan's command with... Or going for the Snap something. I mean,
if
Snapcaster Mage is on the stack.
It's like, if you think there's a counter spell, I think I would go for, instead of Snap Counter, I'd go for K Command, just because, like... it's getting countered anyways, and this gives you the upside of winning. But
yeah, so that gets countered. Expressive Iteration is going to resolve while Michael's tapped out. I think that's going to be Jeremy's game here.
I mean, you could have basic. Well, no, there's no basic mountain in the deck, so
Yeah.
like, what? Yeah, that's pretty heads up.
All right, well, Jeremy takes game 1 with Grixis Pile.
Yeah, Kolgan's commands, Snapcasters, Lightning Bolts. I mean, there was an Unholy Heat in there, but otherwise, I feel like we're going back to like 2018. I love it.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
Here for it.
Think you can win anything and then just get absolutely trounced by burn because your mana base is horrible.
What do you think the sideboards are looking like here?
Oh, I mean, if you're Murktide, depending on there's like 4 to 5 flex slots in the deck. It feels like the move has been to 2 main deck spell pierces, which I like. But if you're not there, you're gonna have some spell pierces on the sideboard, which is great. I've been a fan of Flusterstorms and some other permission in the board. I don't know if Michael has them. Yeah, it kind of depends what the flex slots were in the deck, but boarding in any additional threats and counter spells seems good. It looks like Michael's taking out some Ragavans. I kind of don't. You're so light on threats. I don't like trimming them, even though they die to everything. It's like everything dies to everything. I feel like a lot of how you get, except for Murktide, but I feel like a lot of how you get advantage in the matchup is being able to make your opponent use mana on their turn and then dashing a Ragavan and playing a card off your opponent's deck. And it's just like this very tenuous like kind of struggle, but I don't like taking them out in the matchup, even when you're on the draw. And it looks like Michael is taking out Archmage's Charm 2, which is another one of those cards I think is really good because it has a steal plus.
I was about to say, yeah, Archmage's Charm coming out there kind of confused me. It feels like you get to pressure them with like, I'm going to draw 2 end of turn here unless you do something about it right now, and then clear the way for maybe something better.
Yeah, I feel like this matchup is all about card advantage, and then for Michael, being able to resolve a Murktide with permission. It looks like I saw some Furies get sighted in.
Hmm.
Didn't see what else. Was there a Blood Moon? I didn't see
I
that.
didn't see whether or not there was Blood Moon, but I definitely saw the Furies that you saw.
But which I'm kind of I'm medium on that. For Jeremy, I bet if there's not terminates in the main deck, you're siding in terminates. Usually want more answer. I don't know what Jeremy always plays in an off. There's no net decking happening here. But I think you want answers to Murktide, so destroy type effects that aren't damage based, and any other efficient counter spells like spell pierces, fluster storms, even mystical disputes.
Mhm.
One mana counters are great in a Snapcaster deck.
Yeah, Mystical Dispute's probably gonna make some sick plays happen here, and I'm excited about it. I love Mystical Dispute. I don't know. That card is so much fun.
Yeah, I've played a lot of Murktide, and I used to like initially board out Ragavans, but then I realized that that was a mistake. And a lot of times when I'm boarding out cards, I'm bordering out some number of Darcy's, a Murktide, and some Baubles, because I feel like opponents board in like Endurances, Graveyard, things that exile your graveyard, and Darcy is one of the cards that sure the Surveil is fine, but when your graveyard's gone, Surveil doesn't. I mean, it's like scrying. It's like it's okay, but it doesn't like give you an advantage when you play it. Where like a Dash Ragavan, if you can get your opponent to tap out, or if you have like counter backup, just like that gives you mana plus potentially card advantage, and I think is like it's not a turn one play. That's like a turn 6 or 7 play, but is a much stronger top deck late game than like a Darcy is.
Yeah, and I mean that's actually part of the reason that Ragavan is broken as a card, in my opinion. Having that dash mechanic to lean on in the late game makes Ragavan not a completely dead draw, for instance, in like an empty kind of like board state where both opponents are nearly hellbent. You know,
Yeah,
it's still a great draw late game.
and it's like Darcy is, I think, really strong in the main deck where, just evasive flyer like Delver doing Delver things, especially if your opponents are playing like a ground based creature deck. But once you go to sideboard and there's like more removal brought in, like I think it does the least as a single card for the threats that you have, like when you play it. So,
Absolutely.
but it looks like Jeremy's on a mulligan here, and Michael kept. So we're gonna still be a card parity, with Jeremy being on the draw, which is important. It always feels so bad in these matchups to mulligan on the play, and if your opponent keeps
Oh,
7, you're like, I'm just down 2 cards. Like I gave my opponent a free divination.
yeah. Luckily, Jeremy gets to reap the benefits of being on the draw here. Not too far behind. Hopefully, being able to keep this. It looks like we're just deliberating on a card to put back. Yep.
I feel like if both players are able to hit land drops, maybe whoever casts the most iterations, that's going to be the person who wins the game.
Gotta get the most cards going for sure.
I mean, Jeremy does have the advantage of having more cards that generate 2-for-1s, but also it has a pretty painful mana base. And Michael's deck has you're gonna probably fetch shock once, but that's kind of all you're gonna really have to fetch shock.
Yeah. Turn 1, Dragon's Rage Channeler, most valued creature in the matchup so far. Looks like met up by Ragavan. Here we go.
Oh,
The
oh
battle.
man, I don't. Man, Jeremy must not have a great rest of the hand because playing a turn one Ragavan when your opponent is playing it like removal, like a red base removal deck is rough.
Do you think the Thoughtseize on turn 1 would have been better? Probably,
I
right?
I don't know. Does Jeremy have a way to get black mana? I can't quite see. The cards are really close
I
together.
think that's a fetch. I'm pretty sure far left is a Scalding Tarn. I'm like 90% sure. But anyway, we're gonna see Darcy get in for 1. Oh, and there's another one.
Wow. I mean, Jeremy didn't get punished for not having for not running into removal for Michael. So
Yeah. There's a Watery Grave in Jeremy's hand too now. I don't know if that came off the top or not, but I am very surprised at the lack of removal thus far, honestly, a little bit. I'm surprised we haven't seen a bolt fly off or an unholy heat or what is going on
Yeah,
here.
I can sort of see it on Jeremy's side because you mulligan to 6, and I think if you have an otherwise like a hand that's decent without um, a removal spell, you might keep it on 6 because going to 5 is just like really punishing. But for Michael, I feel like usually my like I need to, if I'm playing Murktide, I need to have like 2 of 3, and that's like a consider, or if you're playing Serum Visions, like a cantrip, a threat, and a removal, and I need like 2 of those 3. So
Hmm.
wow, we let.
Ragavan came through.
This is so interesting. Not what I was expecting.
What is going on here? There's so much has happened that I thought wouldn't happen. Like,
I know. I feel in a similar boat too. But it is. I feel like these matchups are very like. There's a lot of like bluffing and next leveling going on with your opponent, and so it's easy for us to see both players' hands and be like, "Oh, why didn't they do this?" But like, if you're giving someone the deep soul read and you're like, "They don't have removal."
oh my gosh. Again, Basic Island here is. Are we just seeing like an opt maybe? No, they don't play opt. Consider 2 triggers, pretty big. We're just trying to fuel it up.
I was like, Michael must have a Murktide.
Yeah, there was a keep there. It looks like.
Or a Fury,
Fury.
plus iteration. Yeah, you really don't want to pitch iteration to Fury, but I'd maybe pitch a Heat. Oh, okay. No, that was in response to the Thoughtseize.
Wait, but oh yeah, because they kept off the trigger, so there was no point in having a second trigger.
Okay, so we've got on the Thoughtseize, we've got Heat, Fury, iteration, and Inspired Bluff Canal. That's a pretty good hand. I mean, obviously the take for the Thoughtseize, unless I mean, I don't know what Jeremy could have that would make me not take Fury.
Yeah, Fury is
I mean,
just.
Fury does 2-for-1 Michael, but it just deals with your whole board. I guess the other thing is iteration.
Ooh, and there it is.
But I mean, Fury, Pitch, Heat is basically like casting both of those spells, or casting 2 removal spells, but without using any mana. So
Well, the thing is, Fury going into the graveyard too is going to make the Dragon's Rage Channelers delirious. Because Michael's graveyard already has instant sorcery land.
yeah,
It's pretty big. It's a really big swing.
yeah. I mean, I guess I can sort of see. I see the logic in taking the iteration. Seemed like a hard decision for sure. All right, Jeremy down to 8, and we've got 3 mana.
That's a drown in the lock that came off the top there. Good to have a removal spell. Looks like we're gonna probably cast it here. Just main phase. Oh no, we're gonna go iteration. Counterspell 2 triggers. This is pretty big. Michael's in a pretty good position. Alright. Did get the chance to murder one.
All right, did we bin one and keep one on the top? Is that what we saw?
With the 2 Darcy triggers?
Yeah.
No, it was keep on top both.
Okay.
The counterspell was cast on
Okay.
the expressive iteration.
Well, Jeremy not conceding.
Nope. Snapcaster and a counterspell. Okay, and we're going to game 3.
Well, Tempo deck did tempo things where, it deployed some threats, used some removal, and then played some permission there at the end.
Wow, yeah.
That was a really fun game to watch. It was like, I don't think anyone, like no one made mistakes necessarily, but they're just like not the decisions that I would have made if I was playing either deck. But it's fun to watch a game where players are just making like different kinds of judgment calls, but they have a lot more knowledge and information about like what's in their decks, like what are one ofs, like what's your spice. But it was cool to watch something like in archetypes that I'm familiar with players playing them like kind of differently than I would have.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm curious to see how effective Jeremy's game 3 will be on the play here. It's probably going to be pretty good, but
And I was sort of shitting on the boarding in Furies, but
that really cleaned house there.
So, ooh. That being said, I think the Archmage's Charm
I still
would have been fine in that spot as well.
Yeah.
But
I mean, yeah, maybe. I wonder what else would be cuttable from the list, because I feel like Archmage's Charm would just be really nice to have.
Chat commenting on fiery Izzet in the deck. I also don't. I'm a big fan of the 18 card. No fiery Izzet in the deck. There's no consensus best of choice for that. There's a lot of 18 land lists, and there's a lot of like 19 land lists, but I just really I don't I feel like you want to use all of your mana almost all of the time in the deck on either your or your opponent's turn, and I'm not a big fan of that land, specifically in Murktide, but you know, judgment calls.
To answer chat's question, we had 30 players tonight.
Yeah, we usually hit around like 28 to like 50 lately has been where it's at.
Yeah. Modern Mondays at Guardian are definitely the most popular modern tournament in town. I would say.
Best theme song of modern events in town for sure.
Oh yeah, well that's 100% that goes without saying.
Looks like chat saying it worse. Fury is a 3/3 double striker. 5 mana is a lot to get to in these Murktide decks. I think Fury is a really good card, and I played it in the deck, and I think it's totally meta dependent whether that's a call for your flex slots or not, or the sideboard, so it's fine. It's a very, very good card.
All right, Jeremy had to take a mulligan again, so best of luck on this 6 here. But the bobble's going to make it up, I guess.
Not really.
Not really?
I feel like we're doing the pseudo scry with the fetch land here. But yeah, mulliganing on the play is so bad in this matchup, and Jeremy had 2 mulligans in a row, so looks like we're doing the old like
turn 1 lava axe to the face for Thoughtsy.
Yeah, it looks like there's a Croxa is in Jeremy's hand, and Croxa is a very good card in this matchup.
Yeah, let's see what we got here.
Okay, it looks like Michael's in pretty land heavy hand. We've got a Fury, a Lightning Bolt, a Bobble, and is that a Spell Pierce? I'm guessing that's a Spell Pierce.
That's a Blood Moon, isn't it?
Is it a Blood Moon?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a Blood Moon. The Amonkhet printing.
Look at you, Curran, on these like. Glad you're in the booth tonight. I'm like, this is weird, weird Amonkhet thing, but I guess yeah. I mean, Grixis gets like pretty trounced by a Blood Moon, which is I think one of the. For being a red-based deck, it's the worst color combination to play when you're expecting Blood Moons, because you're so like double pip like color intensive with like blues, but then you're playing Kolaghan's Command that's just like black and red and no blue, that you're really dual land based.
Yeah, definitely. I think Michael top decked a Ragavan, but elected not to cast it. Just pass the turn, draw.
Right.
And
Did Jeremy draw from his bobble? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. think Jeremy might have forgotten the bobble draw, but I didn't quite see it. So yeah. Does chat notice if Jeremy
Yeah,
threw
if
off his
chat
bobble?
noticed that Jeremy missed a bobble draw, I will run out there.
It is not a May. Yeah.
Okay. He says he did.
All right.
We got
Good job.
trolled.
Yeah. I think we unintentionally got trolled by chat. That's happened to me a lot. Curran, you did
Oops.
it. You did. When chat said yes, I was like, yeah, he drew. But we're making sure people are playing, keeping an accurate game state here because we care. We care about everyone out there and our viewers, and we want to have a positive viewer experience. So yeah, we're like Curran's running out there. We're out of breath right now, but we're here. We're here for you and commentating.
Got to make sure everybody has a good time and plays by the rules.
Yeah, so looks like we got a Dash Ragavan to answer questions about REL. We're at regular REL, which most local events are at, and so you can't miss non-optional triggers, and especially in feature matches, we try to keep those things clean here. It is it's very different at Comp REL. But Guardian has a lot of very competitive players, and sometimes those players want to allow miss triggers if they themselves miss them. So it's a bit it's challenging sometimes, but we're doing our best.
Yeah, I wish you guys had featured me on round 1 last week when my opponent made me cast Dead Gone off a Cascade spell while I was playing football.
Don't tell him. Kurt is mostly a legacy player and is bopping over to Modern here so they can hang out with us and have fun because it's a cool crew of people.
Yeah, had to learn the hard way that Cascade rules changed in Amonkhet. I don't know what happened. My boomer brain kicked in, but...
All right, we've
anyway.
seen some stuff happen. There was a Dothy Voidwalker.
Yeah, Voidwalker. Yeah. It got counterspell, or no? What is?
It got removed with a lightning bolt.
Okay. Yeah, I see.
And because of the way that stuff,
the lightning bolt would go to exile while the Voidwalker's in play. Makes sense. Yeah. Ragavan. Ooh. Do we have enough cards to delve? No, we don't. We're one short. No.
Oh,
wait, do
boy.
we have a land drop? We have a land drop?
Because I miss the Banana King. Hell yeah, we're casting that Tassier.
Yes, let's go. I'm so here for it. I love that Michael will be able to activate its ability too without help from the treasures, That's insane.
Oh man, I don't remember the last time I've seen a Tassiger activation. As someone who's played a ton of that card in various formats, where it's I'm getting ready to tear up.
It's so beautiful. We've seen some sweet older cards played tonight, which I really appreciate, given the fact that Modern Horizons 2 did a lot to shake up the format, It's really nice to see cards like Tassiger, Phantasmal Image, the Evoke 6 spell, I don't know.
Spike Bellows.
Yeah, Spike Bellows.
All right, I think it is interesting that now, thank you, Modern Horizons, we have 2 different exile piles. Shout out to Attack Cowboy. Thanks for that's a long time to subscribe. We super appreciate your support. And yeah, we've hopefully been doing some cool stuff to deserve it. We were just recently in the past couple weeks tried to get the hand cam thing set up and have our new overhead system that we've gotten to do because of support from folks. So yeah, really, really thank you. Still working on a way we're going to get a big diffuser to put over our overhead system to reduce the glare. That's the next thing we're going to do.
Yeah. Well, luckily the glare hasn't tended to be a huge issue. At least I've noticed tonight from being back in the booth with the addition of hand cams. But it will be nice to have that next thing on the list.
All right.
Discard that Steam Vents.
Crux is really. I feel like if you're gonna beat Cruxa for Murktide, you have to have like enough like removal encounters plus a big threat in play to like be chipping in damage, because that's a big roadblock for this deck to deal with. And you know, not having iteration turned on because you exiled all the cards from Tasigur, Cruxa is gonna be a problem. Yeah, the themes that Kilgore Trout also threw us another subscription, which we appreciate it. Back on it for 2 months, but I feel like you've probably subscribed before then too. And yeah, the theme song is a bop, and don't want to spoil it here, but our friend Lex, who does the theme song, is working on some new updated version. We'll still run the old one, and then also some like other cool segments we're gonna do with their own songs too. So there's going to be more bops in the very near future.
I'm excited for more bops.
And Lex Butera, if you want to look him up, does really cool electronic music in Portland.
All right, dropping a land here. We're going to see this Ragavan come down.
So we got land, sorcery, artifact, and yard. I feel like this Ragavan might, like, is it just going to be a chump blocker for the Kroxa to then get enough card types for Unholy Heat?
What about, yeah, I mean, that's definitely possible. Do we just fear the double block alone here, though? I wonder.
You get so blown out if there's one removal spell from Jeremy, though, if you do that.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Jeremy is palming one right now. Definitely see a Scalding Tarn.
There's a Drown in the Lock, it looks like.
Ooh.
Let's see. We got Drown in the Lock.
Is it the legendary land? No, that's Inquisition. Never mind. Inquisition of Kozilek and Drown in the Lock. Kroxa coming in. Trigger. Here we go.
Is that your iteration, Darcy?
Murktide.
All right. Delirium's active, but there's no heat in hand. We are double blocking. Oh boy.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here comes the Drown in the Lock here. It can't be met by anything because we only have Murktide and Fury, I think. Wait. Oh, that's a Spell Pierce. The Amonkhet Spell Pierce.
I'm so confused.
What? Oh my gosh.
I mean, I'm paying for it.
Pay for it? Yeah, right. That's seems like.
I think the Spell Pierce is just cast to get it there. Well, no. Why are you to cast the Spell Pierce if there's? Huh. I guess it's to make the Murktide bigger. That's the reason, right?
Yeah,
why you cast it?
It has to be.
So it looks like we have instant sorcery. So I guess then your Murktide trades for Kroxa, which feels bad. Can we get one more type in there? Or one more instant or sorcery in the yard? There's just, I think, one of each.
Gonna find out here.
Yeah.
Eat the yard. So, Spell Pierce, Iteration. So it's a 5/5? Because it's base 3/3, right?
Oh yeah. We're not even at tradesies right now.
Hey, that's not how that works. Unless that's its total power.
You want? Do you want to run out there and fix it, Curran?
I'm just gonna make sure.
Okay, they did it. They did it. Curran, they did it.
Okay.
That was Sorry, I sent Kern out again. We're getting some exercise in tonight. All right.
I'm back. All right.
Exquisite Firecraft?
Yo! Let's go! You're talking about burn to the face to close out games tonight? Let's go!
Oh my gosh.
Oh, wow. Just flame javelin. Throw it through him.
What? Wow.
Talk
That's a
about
card.
burnout.
So, yeah, when we said, when we put Grixis pile up in the upper left-hand corner, we literally meant pile.
Holy hell. All right, I'm going to check on the backup match.
Sure. And if you do, you can just slide the whole mat over without having to move the cards.
Oh, yeah, I was wondering because of how it was positioned. Like
There's-
just over the other mat?
There's a piece of tape beneath the mat, so
Okay.
just switch them. Yeah.
Cool. I'll tell him.
Okay, so we're going to look and see if our backup match is still going. If it is, we're going to get you all a little bit more of round 3 out of 4 of Modern here at Guardian Games in Portland.
That was crazy, right? That was fun. Yeah, that finisher was.
Man, that was a really fun match. I did not did not expect to see an exquisite Firecraft in a Grixis control list or Grixis pile list with Snapcasters.
Yeah, that game 1 was tough.
And it does look like we are going to be able to get the end of a next match.